Hello Capricorn, welcome to This Is Not Legal Advice. I am your host TINLA for the weekly reading of August the 10th, 2026, or whenever this happens to find you. I wanted to let you know that before we even get started, I got some messages from Spirit talking about miracles. I got this in 2 different decks, and I know you're saying, oh, that's ridiculous, miracles. I work for my stuff. That's fine, but I'm getting that like recently you've taken a calculated risk, and even though it was a calculated risk, you're still like a little nervous and you're hoping to see how that comes out. And you're like, again, it's almost like buying a stock, you know, or some degree, like some amount of stock. And you're thinking, okay, like I know that it made sense when I bought it, and that was a calculated risk, but like, I really hope it works out. Like there's a little bit of insecurity there. And I know it's money related because it's you, Capricorn, okay? Look, I shuffled this a bunch, but you're very much on par with what's going on with Virgo. Maybe it's just an earth sign thing. All right, let me take a look here. All right, bottom. This is the one. This is the one, Miracles, Believe, Faith, that came out, number 78. Number 7, by the way, is Chariot energy, Cancer, very emotional, water energy. Strength is going to be your Leo energy, fire energy. We are in the Leo season. So it could also be that whatever you're dealing with is something you recently decided in the Cancer season. So basically like mid-June to July. And it's coming sort of full circle in the Cancer season, which we're in right now, at least as I'm reading this, which is that pickup after, you know, the Cancer season ends, the Leo season begins, and then it takes us into August. So again, we're talking about miracles, believe, faith, which again, you are not people of faith, generally speaking, Capricorn, no offense, okay? But you are people of action, you're people of doing, and let's take a look at what's happening here. Okay, so we have Finding a Way Out, number 68, and you can see here it's this ladder issue here, out of the dark, coming out of the dark, interesting song for that. Into the third eye chakra, which is the light, 27, number 9. So you're going from 14 to 9. 14 is temperance, 9 is the hermit. So, you know, getting a sense of balance within, intuition, perception, clarity, visualization, spiritual insight. So you're going from this place of dark to this place of light and insight. And it's almost, I'm getting very much like, until you go to the bottom, until you hit rock bottom, you're not going to see the light. You're not going to really understand what's been going on in your life until you lose it all. And I hate to say that, get mad at me, tune away. I'm so sorry. I hope you stay because I'd like to see how this turns out. Maybe you do too. But before you leave, like, share, subscribe, whatever. Point is, you're coming out of this dark energy into the light, and it was almost like you had to go into this dark energy to get to the light, and you're really hoping, honestly, that there will be a miracle to take you there, because you know that the risk you took was very, very risky. Impermanence, this is embrace change, nothing can remain forever. This is very cherry blossom energy, so maybe what you were banking on was something to do with Japanese currency or Bitcoin. Perhaps it was something to do with events in DC in the United States. And the root chakra is an energy of, you know, grounding, of really trying to get realistic. And that C is the note associated with that. Maybe the letter C means something to you. But it's like you, on the one hand, are very in this like ephemeral state, like, oh, I hope, I dream, I want. But there's a part of you that's like crashing down to the ground, right? That finding a way out, like way down there, like that's hitting reality. And you recognize this about yourself, like, what do I do? Do I look up to things that I hope for and dream could happen? And again, let me just look at this. Hold on. It's number 65, by the way, which is 11. It's a Justice card. Although in some decks it could be the Strength card, which is also Leo. But, you know, on the one hand, you're like, oh, look at this optimistically. Like, we can make a lot of money doing this thing. And on the other hand, you're like, oh, but we could lose a lot of money doing this thing. And there's not a clear answer. You're back and forth right now. You're very much in this, oh God, what do we do? You know, I want to see this light. I want to see the victory that I've been putting in for, but there's something about me that says like, I need to be grounded. And what I'm feeling like specifically here is you might be somebody, Capricorn, who has been very free in your life, where the consequences of your actions weren't really as critical as they are now. Like, for example, if you weren't married, didn't have kids, people weren't depending on you, maybe, you know, elders or what have you, you know, you could take a risk and it wasn't that big of a deal. But maybe for the first time in your life, you're looking at it like, yeah, I took a risk, I took a gamble, but hold on, what if it doesn't work out? You know, what if I'm taking this still approach of like looking up for the optimism, but the reality is different, and it's just like really rooting you to the ground where you're thinking, oh my gosh, what is going to happen here? And that's maybe panicking you. And that's where that whole energy of a miracle is coming in. Like, you really need a miracle. And here we've got number 70, which is more Cancer Chariot energy. So this is all something that's been relatively recent for you. It says unwanted exposure, information disclosed, embarrassment, revealing something personal, made public, negative attention. So in a way, it's like your prior risk-taking behavior, though it has paid off for you, you're worried that this time, when the chips are down, when people are really depending on you, you're going to be seen. I hate to say this because I don't mean this. I'm not saying I agree with it, okay? But you're going to be seen for like the fraud that you believe you are. And that is insufferable to you. So you're really hoping that miracle comes in and shows that, like, one last time, wiping the sweat off the brow, you actually are right. And there's somebody over here, the snake in the grass, number 52, which is another 7, again, Cancer energy, very emotional, very recent, warning you. There's somebody been in your life warning you. It's a very rattlesnake, right? That is telling you like, hey, why are you still doing this? Why are you still acting like you've got this super inside scoop on how to make things work and how to come out of the dark when, you know, we've got other things depending on it? And you might have discounted that person because you're like, I know better. I have a spiritual connection to source, right? Number 10, the Wheel of Fortune's turning in my favor. You know, you felt like you were walking on sunshine. There was no thing you could do that was going to harm you or be wrong. And it was just like, again, this chalice energy. Like we said, we had 8 here. That's that strength. That's Leo energy. You're feeling like, what's the problem, babe? What's the issue? And it could even be somebody, and this is very specific, I know, and if it resonates, great. If it doesn't, you know, take it however it works for you, or doesn't, and or look at another reading, whatever. But for the people this speaks to, it's like you were telling your partner who might be, let's say, pregnant, okay, it's okay. It's all going to be good. It's all going to be fine. Don't worry. And this person maybe has been hassling you, worrying about your finances in your relationship. And you're just kind of like, no, don't worry. I got this on lock. This person's freaking out. Like they're a snake. They're warning you like, hey, stop this. We can't afford to take these risks anymore. And you're saying, no, it's all good. I got this. But at some level, with these intrusive thoughts, you don't want these thoughts. But for the first time maybe in your life, they're coming up out of this root chakra. They're rising up through your body, across your chakras, and surprising you maybe, again, for the first time, telling you, again, I'm getting very strongly, for the first time, you have doubt. You have a concern. Like, it didn't matter before. Like, you put the risk out there, you threw the dice, you did whatever, and it wasn't a big deal. If you lost, you lost. But this time, something's different. Something is stressing you out. Something is got more weight to it, more substance to it. And these intrusive thoughts are coming in. And with 75, that's 12, which is Hangman energy. So it's like you're really starting to shift perspective. And it says here, number 89, photo perfect surface level. 89 is 17, which is the star. So even though on the surface you're like, hey babe, it's all good, even maybe you're telling yourself that it's all good, it's all going to work out, no problem, that's surface level. Underneath it all, you are hopeful, but you're worried. You know, hope is something that's necessary. You know, I'm getting like copium, like you're again presenting to somebody else to say, hey, it's all good, don't worry, don't freak out, I've got this. But even you yourself know that this is a very tenuous situation. You might have made an investment that really could do well, or it could totally tank. And your partner, or whoever it is I'm talking about here, business partner, romantic partner, friend, whatever, people you've talked to about this, you're worried that if what you've advised or you've done, that might not actually pan out that way, and maybe these people won't see you that way anymore as the distinguished advisor, right, of all things monetary. And then we have number 39, again, number 12, right, changing perspective, waiting, you know, you're watching and waiting is what I'm getting. You're very much watching and waiting. How is this going to pan out? Hidden vortex, intense energy, conduits, earth's energy, amplify, power, healing, moving fast, pull. So you are very much almost going to be pulled, whether you like it or not, into some kind of resolution of this issue. And what I'm getting Spirit saying is, can you handle this or not? If you can't handle the risk that you've put yourself out at, there is no shame in backing off and leaving it be. If you're going to ride that train, though, if you're going to say, I put in my risk, I believe in miracles and faith and so forth, if you're going to do that, just be careful, because look at this. This card is also number 78, which 7 and 8 is 15, which is a devil energy, which is you, Capricorn. It's temptation, it's obsession. You might have a very, very difficult time letting go of this fantasy land that, you know, if we just invest X amount in Bitcoin or some kind of like, I don't know, what are those, you know, fake pictures that people were selling, you know, like, or what's that, those meta properties, you know, it's some kind of, I hate to say like newfangled idea, but it's something that's like, it's a fantasy. And you're choosing to believe that, but you're obsessed with that. And I'm getting that Spirit is saying, hold on, there's something more going on here, and maybe you do need to back off. So even though I'm not an investment advisor, what I would say that this is showing me is there are people in your life cautioning you against you know, new business ideas or new financial structures or things that you're looking at, and they're telling you, root yourself, get your grounding, focus on just laying the foundation of a successful financial future, and get out of this idealized hypothetical. If I could, it's almost like that energy of, if I buy a lottery ticket, everything will be fine. And this is your chance. So let's see what Spirit has to say from this tarot, okay? What does Spirit have to say with respect to my Capricorns, and to clarify this message? Any success, by the way, is going to be impermanent. I'm going to go back to that. So even though, like, let's say you have stocks that are doing really well, and you're like, oh, this is great, it's going to keep on keeping on. It's not, is what I'm getting. If you've got like some kind of cryptocurrency, it may look great and you're doing well. Get while the getting's good is what I'm feeling. And that's advice from those around you. Listen to those around you who may have a different perspective, who are less risk tolerant. And there's nothing wrong with that, to build that stability. Okay. Anyway, Spirit, what would you say to my folks here? 10 of Pentacles. All right, 1 second. We've got Ace of Cups. Give me one more, please, for my Capricorns. What's going on? Thank you. The Chariot. Another 7. We've talked about that. Okay. And 7 is pretty significant change in Cancer energy. Again, this is all recent, right? It could even be that you received some kind of stock tip or investment tip in the last few weeks. But you're seeing this, like, if I can get my nail to get this here. Okay. You know what? We're just going to, there we go. Okay. Like, I'm imagining this as you here, my Capricorn viewers. You're trying to assure this person that you're with that we've got this bright future, this bright financial future. And what I'm getting is you've got a widowed woman here just caring for the child and the dog or dogs. And it's almost like this is the reality check. Like, you can have all these hopes and dreams, but the reality check is, where do you end up 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now? And this person, this in green, is very, like, suspicious of here. I'm not saying she's rejecting him, but she's just very suspicious of what's being promised in terms of this long-term future, right? And we have this then Page of Cups. And it's almost like you coming in and saying, but look, I got a full cup here. It's all good. And it's interesting to me that this person has their hand out almost like they're like catching drops of whatever's falling out of that. So it's telling me that we may lose a little bit here and there. It's not going to be great. Like, it's going to be overflowing, and we're going to have to accept that we take losses with gains, and don't be so serious. The Chariot is saying we've got to be aligned. So if you've got a partner, romantic friend, business partner, whatever, that is at opposition with you or has a different perspective on things, you've got to get aligned. And that may mean that you need to recognize, Capricorn, that this particular idea, whatever it is you're going for, may not be the most fruitful. And that's not to say that you won't have better, more fruitful ideas in the future. I'm not saying that. You Capricorns are notorious for doing well financially and working hard. But if you're going to get things moving, you know, there's been this change. Again, Cancer season. There's things that are moving in a certain direction, and you need to get your ducks in a row, your horses together, working together. And I get that here you're like trying to convince people to do that, but those people might be telling you it's not worth it. Show me a challenge, please, for Capricorn. A challenge in the next week. Show me a challenge, please, Spirit. Okay. We got the Seven of Cups. And let's see. The Queen of Pentacles. Okay. So Seven of Cups is having too many options. Like, you feel like, okay, I'm so confused. The market could go either way. It could go bad. It could go well. We don't know. So you're kind of relying on this. Like, this person's wanting to move forward in a specific direction. But you, Capricorn viewer, are like, but what if? This is very much the but what if. If we buy these 5 lottery tickets, what if? Right? It's that kind of thinking. We could have this life. We could have this peaceful, loving, generous, compassionate. I'm getting like you all want to give to charity and do like beautiful things, make beautiful changes in the world. And so there's this wonderful optimism that exists between you and whoever's on your mind, Capricorn, where you're like looking at a potential future of stability and generosity. And so you're almost trying to sell this other person on, but what if? Look at what we could have. Show me the advantages here. And by the way, in terms of the challenges are the self-deceit. It's the deceit of yourself. It's this deceit of the person around you that's trying to warn you about the dangers. You're basically selling it like, but I know it's risky, but look at what we could do if we win. It's almost very Russian roulette, right? All right, so the advantages. We've got 5 of Wands, people that are in your circle that are advising you, maybe even in ways you don't want. The Emperor has no clothes kind of thing. So trusted advisors. We've got 2 of Wands. They're helping you to make this decision at the crossroads and figure out what it makes more sense for you, and whether it makes sense to continue on this path or to put your things, in a different way. And by the way, just because, let's say that hypothetically you heed this advice and you decide, I'm going to pull out my investments from this or that. It's not the end of the story, right? It's just a pause that might make more sense right now. Or if you're investing in something that's a more risky investment, it's your friends telling you like, but have you really thought about this? And let's find out, what have you thought? Knight of Cups. You're like, hey guys, no, it's cool. Like, look at all this. It's all great. I have these hopes and dreams and wishes, and I got a good feeling about this is where I'm going. You know, it's that I got a good feeling that this crypto coin, I'm specifically in crypto, is going to blow up and be amazing. And I'm going to make a ton of money and it's going to be great. Don't you see that, guys? Don't you see it? And like, look, they don't see it. They're looking away. They're focusing on other things. So even that part of your brain that's trying to sell that idea is just not going for it. Show me the outcome, Spirit, if the Capricorn person actually listened here and maybe took some more precautions. The moon, it's unknown, right? It's an illusion. We don't know. And maybe that's the point, is you got to take this one on faith. Maybe this whole thing is a test of faith. And what I'm saying, what the universe is saying through me, is trust and believe, right? The moon is also divine feminine energy. Maybe there's a feminine person in your life that's advising you or that will benefit and be glorified by this. And if, by the way, if my Capricorn does not listen to this message, does whatever he or she's going to do, the Magician, you're going to be scrambling, and I'm getting scrambling to pay bills, to, you know, pay Peter, rob Peter to pay Paul. Like, it's going to be a bad scene. I'm not saying you won't come back from it, but, you know, your options are, I can manufacture and manifest these possible other things using all my skills and surviving. And listen, maybe it goes great for you in the long run. I don't know. But right now, if you don't heed this advice, you're just going to be making the best of what you got and kind of scrambling. Whereas if you do heed the advice, you may not get everything you want, but sometimes you get what you need, right? You may not get everything you want, but right now it's enough to hold things together, to change the tide. And then the final card for advice is the Five of Swords. And what this is suggesting to me is Spirit's telling you, stop fighting the people that are trying to help you. Stop fighting yourself trying to help you. Because look, there's all these swords here, and you got two people who've like been trying to talk sense into you, and you're holding your own, but you're also wondering, maybe I should put a pause on this. Maybe this is not going to work out. Maybe I should actually listen to these people. And so I do think, Capricorn, you're at a kind of a crossroads here, and it's a financial crossroads. And, you know, at the one side, you want to go with your gut, which has always served you well. But what's different for you this time is your gut is telling you, put the brakes, put the kibosh, like back away slowly right now while you can, and pay attention to the red flags that those you love are showing to you. So let's get some advice from Spirit, some positive little affirmations here. And I am positively affirming that you will like, share, subscribe. It is free, for God's sake, Capricorn, my God. But please leave a like, share, subscribe. I always love to hear comments, read comments, not hear them because they're in writing, you know what I mean. I just want to know, does this make sense for you? Please. Okay, we're going to come back to that. I surrender my worries I cannot control to the universe. Okay. So in other words, you can't control everything, and acknowledging that is huge. Money keeps flowing to me effortlessly. So to the extent you feel like you're going to miss out on some kind of investment opportunity, you're not. It's always coming toward you. And what I'm getting with this second card is, it's I surrender my worries, very due diligence. Like, don't jump into something just because you're trying to be cool or, you know, not have worries. Don't worry about that. Haha. You got to trust the universe, and it may be that it doesn't make sense. And this first card on the left is meant by the artist to be whatever you want it to be. You could write in some kind of note. I haven't done that, obviously. But what it's telling me is you have the complete free will to make the choice. Everything will be just fine. I have access to divine knowledge. You do. You do, but you've got to be willing to hear it. Even if that divine knowledge is, you need to back out of the market right now. You need to back out of that deal you thought you were going to make. It's not for you right now. And look, another one. It's blank. So this is all about your choices, Capricorn, and whether you are going to rely on yourself while taking the advice of others into place, or whether you're going to be stubborn and do things the way you want. I just saw 24:24 on the clock. And look, another one on the bottom. just like that, right? It's kind of an amoeba here, but the point is, like, here, you got like a tic-tac-toe of, you are the one driving this. You are the one being presented, Capricorn, with all the information, and only you can decide whether you're going to fight about it, whether you're going to resist it, or whether you're going to say, you know what, maybe it makes sense to pull out my investments or to pause on it, like a real estate purchase, and see where things go. So that's what I got for you this week, Capricorn. You will see me next week. You will see me next week. I may not see you because we're not both ways here. But thank you for joining. Much love.